Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so we're diving into a comprehensive 2026 sourcing guide for stainless steel bottles, and let me tell you, the stakes, they have fundamentally changed. We are well past the days where simply stamping food grade on a bottle was enough to get by. Today, high-performance sourcing is all about securing advanced finishes, hitting recycled steel targets, and passing some really stringent ESG audits. Let's get right into how you can navigate this highly competitive landscape and find the absolute perfect manufacturing partner for your brand.
Okay, let's jump right into this macro to micro journey. We'll start with the 2026 drinkware landscape. Then we'll meet the top manufacturers, walk through the essential buyer's vetting workflow, and finally, tackle timelines, tariffs, and some FAQs. All right, Section 1, the 2026 drinkware landscape, where we're setting the technical baseline. Taking a macro view here, the epicenter of top-tier production is heavily concentrated in China's Zhejiang province, specifically the Yangkang and Wuyue clusters. If you're in procurement, you probably already know this region as the hardware capital. And as we can see, China remains the undisputed global leader, pumping out a staggering 80% of the world's stainless steel vacuum flasks. Why? Well, it's their fully vertically integrated supply chain. They handle the whole shebang, from processing the raw steel right down to the highly specialized lid injection molding. But before we even start looking at suppliers, we really need to understand the shifting baseline for the materials themselves. Now, SUS 304 is the industry standard, right? It totally does the job. But SUS 316, which is actually medical-grade stainless steel, is rapidly becoming the go-to for high-end coffee and tea flasks. The reason is simple: it offers far superior corrosion resistance. This is absolutely critical when you're dealing with acidic drinks like coffee sitting in a bottle all day. I mean, nobody wants their morning brew tasting like a handful of pennies, right?
Moving right along to Section 2, meet the top manufacturers. We like to call this the matchmaker matrix. So, finding the perfect factory, it's honestly a lot like matchmaking. It's not just about finding the biggest facility or the absolute lowest price. It's about perfectly aligning your specific brand requirements with a supplier's core strength. When you look at how we can quickly segment these 7 manufacturing giants, you get a real feel for the landscape. We've got Tier 1 volume leaders like Nanalong. Now, they require a pretty massive 5,000 unit minimum order quantity, but they offer incredible cost efficiency, all the way down to highly specialized niche players who are built for smaller runs and total flexibility. It's all about finding exactly where your business fits. Let's actually matchmake some of these mid-tier options. If your brand is all about premium, pro-grade quality, Solidware is going to be your go-to for top-tier double-wall vacuum tech. Or maybe you're an e-commerce seller chasing those rapid trends, like those massive viral tumblers that just broke the internet. Well, Everidge is your ODM powerhouse for that. They drop hundreds of new molds every single year. Now, if aesthetics and that premium hand feel are your top priorities, Kingline specializes in incredibly durable 3D powder coatings, though just a heads up, their lead times can be a bit longer. And if you're a smaller boutique brand needing flexible, open molds, Feifei caters exactly to that crowd. And then we have our major outliers. Honyers is the big one, the largest publicly listed manufacturer in the bunch. With MOQs starting at 3,000 units and these vast automated smart factories, they offer the kind of rock-solid IP protection and stability that massive global retail chains demand. But then, on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, we have Tinto. These guys are fascinating. They're a niche tech specialist. As drinkware gets smarter, they handle the specialized electronics assembly for things like LED temperature displays and UVC sterilization caps. Traditional bottle factories just simply aren't equipped for that kind of tech. Okay, Section 3, the buyer's vetting workflow. Let's talk about avoiding some very costly mistakes. Here's where things get really serious. Chasing the absolute lowest unit price in this game is dangerous. It can lead to leaking seals or, literally the worst-case scenario, lead-contaminated solder making its way into your customers' hands. So to protect your brand, you absolutely have to follow these 4 non-negotiable vetting steps. Number 1, material verification. Don't just trust a 304 stamp on the bottom of a bottle. Bring in a third-party lab for a spectrometer test, because a super common dishonest shortcut is swapping in 201 grade steel on the inner layers, and that stuff rusts fast. Step 2, vacuum integrity. Step 3, demand a cross-cut test for coating durability. And finally, number 4, regulatory compliance. Check for global recycled standard certifications and make sure you have independent lab reports proving those seals and lids are truly BPA-free. Let's zero in on that vacuum integrity step for a second, because this metric is literally your lifeline, less than 1%. A high-quality factory is going to have a dedicated vacuum testing room where every single bottle rolls over a thermal sensor belt to check insulation over a 12 to 24-hour period. You need to explicitly ask for the vacuum failure rate, or VFR, data from their last production run. And here's the bottom line. If that failure rate is anything above 1%, no way. Consider it a massive red flag and just walk away. All right, final stretch. Section 4. Timelines, tariffs, and FAQs. Let's navigate the logistics. By 2026, just getting your product onto major retail shelves means passing FDA tests and strict ESG audits like BSCI and SEDEX to prove you're environmentally and socially compliant. And that plays a huge role in your planning. Looking at the timeline, expectations really matter here. If you're using an existing mold and just slapping on custom colors and logos, you can expect a 30 to 45-day lead time. But if you're building a brand new custom mold from scratch, you're looking at a much longer progression. The mold itself takes about 30 days to create, which pushes your entire production time to anywhere from 60 to 90 days. So definitely plan your holiday stock accordingly. Now let's tackle a super common question, especially if you're a bootstrapped startup or a fast-moving e-commerce seller. Can you actually source these bottles with just a 500-unit minimum order quantity? Well, the answer is yes, you can, especially if you go through flexible suppliers like Everett or Feifei. But there's a pretty major catch. At a 500-unit MOQ, you are pretty much restricted to their stock colors with just a basic logo printed on top. If you want true, custom Pantone colors to match your brand perfectly, you're going to need to step up to a minimum of 1,000 units. So what about those final logistical hurdles? Specifically, how do you handle quality inspections before your product even leaves China? And how in the world do you navigate U.S. tariffs? There are a few critical safeguards you need to put in place here. First up, always conduct a final random inspection, or FRI. You want to make sure your inspector does a hot water test for vacuum function, checks the coating thickness, and, this is a big one, performs a shake test to make sure there are absolutely no loose internal parts rattling around. As for tariffs, especially in the U.S. under Section 301, there are very specific duties applied to Chinese steel products. The pro tip here is to always cross-reference HS code 732393 with your customs broker. That way you can calculate your true landed cost before you even think about setting your retail price. Which brings us to the ultimate question for anyone jumping into this landscape. Are your margins worth risking on a 1% vacuum failure? Sourcing stainless steel bottles correctly is an exact science, from that very first material verification all the way to the final shake test. Don't take shortcuts. Really get to know your factory's specific strengths, and always test the data. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and we will catch you next time.